All right, everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to attend the Powerlifting Preseason Coaches webinar tonight. My name is Kendall Zeslitz. I'm a new Regional Sports Director for Special Olympics Maryland, and I'm the staff lead for powerlifting. Kind of an overview of what we're going to be talking about tonight. I want to start by introducing my sports management team for the 2017 season. We're going to go over major deadlines, how to qualify for a state championship, the big events like qualifiers and the state championship, which is at the Fall Sports Festival, a rules update and reminder about rules that have always been in place. And then if you guys have any questions, we'll have time at the end to answer them. So moving right along to the sports management team, we have who you guys heard from, Jim Downs. He's a coach from Montgomery County. So if you have any technical questions tonight, he is kind of going to be my go-to for this, which is great. Thank you, Jim. Noelle Minart is a coach from Howard County. We have Kathy Barrett, who's also a coach from Howard County, and she is actually going as the powerlifting coach to the 2018 USA Games as the coach for Team Maryland. We have Dan Zodarelli from the Upper Shore. Kenneth Long, who's an athlete from Howard County, and he's actually also going to the 2018 USA Games for powerlifting. And then me, your sports lead for powerlifting. So some of the major deadlines, which I'm sure you've seen this before, but just kind of an overview. The training registration deadline is on September 11th. That is when you need to have everyone entered into GMS, your athletes, your partners, coaches, and volunteers. This doesn't mean that they have to have all their paperwork in by the state, just that they're actually in the system so we can track that. And then the next date involves when the forms need to be submitted to headquarters, and that's going to be on September 21st. For every athlete that you have entered, they have to have a medical form that's valid through the date of the Fall Sports Festival, which is October 21st. Every coach, partner, and volunteer needs to have a complete volunteer application, which gets us to do their background check as well as their protected behavior certification, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But if your coaches don't have it, it's super easy. It takes about 10 minutes to complete. So very easy to do. All coaches need to have their concussion certification, and all head coaches have a sports-specific certification in powerlifting. We are currently in the works of putting together a coaches training. So once I have an exact date and location for that, I will send it out to you all so you can let your coaches know who need their certification. The last date that we have on here is the competition registration deadline. That is going to be October 5th. This is when all of your athletes need to be in GMS and also in their events. That way it gives me plenty of time to division them for the state competition. For qualifying for a state tournament, you have to meet all the training and registration requirements, including following all the deadlines. So the coaches have to have their certifications by the specified deadline, or else they will not be able to coach for this event. And all athletes have to compete at a minimum of one sanctioned qualifier. I know a majority of the qualifiers in powerlifting are in-house, but if you have the opportunity to go out to a multi-county or multi-area qualifier, that would be awesome too. It's great to get them as many competitive opportunities as possible. So I will talk a little bit more about the counties who have submitted sanctions forms to me for their qualifiers, but if you have not yet, please do so at your earliest convenience, and that way I can get it on our calendar. So the point of a qualifier is obviously to qualify for the state championship, and what it takes for a qualifier to actually count is it needs to emulate the state level competition from a sports and competition perspective. So you need to follow all of the rules, including Special Olympics rules and powerlifting rules. There needs to be officials there and judges, not just a parent who doesn't exactly know how to judge powerlifting. So make sure that you have someone there who knows the sport. There needs to be medical personnel on site just in case something were to happen. Fingers crossed that doesn't, but we just need to always make sure that we have our T's crossed and our I's dotted. Like I said before, ideally it would be a multi-county qualifier, but an in-house one is more than fine as long as you have kind of checked off all of these boxes. If you need to send me a sanction form to have a qualifier, please do that as soon as possible. It doesn't need to be exactly 30 days in advance because I know that's kind of a long time and things come up. But if you could just give me at least 2 weeks, that way I can push it out and get people involved with it, I would really appreciate it. And like I said before, each area and team has to attend at least one sanctioned qualifier in order to qualify for powerlifting at Fall Sports Festival. So the qualifiers that we have in place right now, Howard is having 2, one on September 10th, which is an open qualifier. So other counties, you're more than welcome to go and participate in this. And then on September 28th, they're having their in-house qualifier. Montgomery County is having an in-house qualifier on October 8th, but they did specify on the form that if you have an athlete that is unable to make their in-house qualifier, or for some reason your county can't put one together, that they could squeeze you into it. We have to take it case by case because we don't want everyone to just go to theirs and not host one themselves. But if you run into that issue, feel free to contact me and I can set you up with the right person for it. I would love to see more counties hosting in-house qualifiers as well as multi-county qualifiers. So just try to get that form to me as soon as possible. And then the last date that's kind of important is the pre-competition webinar, which is going to be Tuesday, October 10th from 8 until 9. I will be sending out an email probably within the next 2 weeks reminding you of this webinar and sending the link so it will be easy for you to register. The Fall Sports Festival is the state competition for powerlifting. This year it's going to be on Saturday, October 21st at Mount St. Mary's University in Emmitsburg, Maryland. This is where we've had it for the past few years. I recently toured the facility and it seems like a great place to have it, so we're really looking forward to it. I grabbed a time frame based off the tentative schedule from last year. So for now, I would say plan on being there from around 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. As we start nailing down more details, I will push them out to you guys. That way your athletes and their families can all plan accordingly. So keep your eyes out for that as we get closer to the event. Again, no athlete or volunteer is going to be able to participate within the powerlifting program if they don't have a medical that's current or the volunteer application and also the protective behaviors. Unfortunately, we have to be pretty strict about this because it is a liability. For the coaching requirements, they have to have the Class A volunteer application and associated background screening, which comes, you just fill out the form. It doesn't take too long, and then we do the background screening on our own, so you don't even have to worry about that. You have to complete the protective behavior screening and make sure you send that in so we can verify that you actually completed it. And also for the concussion training, you have to submit that to us as well. That way we can keep track in your records of GMS. And all of the head coaches need a sport-specific certification for powerlifting. Everything that is listed above will last you for 3 years, so you don't have to keep on doing it every year, which is nice. So just make sure that whoever is in charge of running GMS for your county is kind of aware of when coaches' things are expiring. That way we can stay on top of it and there's no surprises when we come to the state competition. The protective behaviors I talked a little bit about. So it's the brief online course. It takes approximately 10 minutes. We can send you the link if you need it. And then you submit your verification to Rachel Maddox. So her email is there. I'll be sending out these slides after the webinar ends, just so you guys have it, so you don't have to write everything down right now. The concussion certification is also done online, and this is completely free. You have 2 options for it. The CDC Heads Up Concussion takes about 30 minutes, and then the NFHS Concussion in Sports takes about 45. Whichever one you want to go for is totally fine, but we do not have any other approved courses right now, so it does need to be one of the 2. Again, you would email in this certificate and just so we have it on file. The Coach Code of Conduct is something that we've recently proposed, and it's just kind of set some guidelines for how coaches should act regarding their athletes and their sportsmanship and the way that they treat basically everyone. One big part of it is having respect for others. Others, ensuring a positive experience, not just for the athlete, but if there's spectators that are coming out to the event, for the volunteers who are taking their time to help out with it, just making sure it's a positive experience for everyone is a really big goal for us. That kind of ties along with acting professionally and taking responsibility for my actions. So you never know who is listening, so just always try to present yourself in a professional manner and only say things really that you would want people to know that you said. And quality service to the athletes also ties in with providing a good experience for them. The athletes are why we are all here. It's why everyone does what they do. So we want to train them in the best way possible and help them develop not just in powerlifting, but as an individual in their lives outside of the sport. So just always making sure that you follow the Special Olympics coaching rules, and the rules for powerlifting is a really big part of that. And lastly, the health and safety of the athletes. A lot of this stems from making sure that the training area is clean and secure. There's no puddles on the floor where they could slip. That in powerlifting, their equipment is safe and not rusted. So just always making sure that the environment is a safe place for an athlete to come to. So getting kind of more into the sport of powerlifting, there are 3 events that we offer at state competition: the deadlift, the bench press, and the combination. With the combination, an athlete is required to compete in the bench press and deadlift combination to qualify for a final score in this combination event. Then the athlete's final score is calculated by adding together the maximum weight they successfully lift in the bench press and the deadlift. So it's just kind of a combination of it. 3 unsuccessful attempts in any of the lifts will automatically eliminate the lifter from a combination event. And I kind of want to say as a side note, we at USA Games, we will be offering the squat. We aren't doing that at our state competition, but the athletes who are selected to go to Seattle to represent Team Maryland, they will be training in this just so they kind of have an idea of what it is and they're not taken by surprise.
I'm sure Kenny Long will squat. 4 years ago, Catherine didn't want to, but I don't know that they have changed this time.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad we have Kenny. So with the rules update, not too much has changed from last year. As you know, our request to allow a 15-pound bar for both events was denied. However, the National Powerlifting Committee has approved the use of a 15-kilogram bar just for the bench press, so not for the deadlift. Because all of your athletes, or a majority, still train with a 15-pound bar, we will allow the use of a 15-pound bar for both events at our state competition. However, we really do encourage you to make that transition to the 15 kilogram just for maybe next year if they get selected to go to World Games or USA Games in the future. That way they're just prepared. And another change.
This is Jim again. There's only really a couple of athletes, I think, that use that 15-pound bar. It's not too big a deal, but we also don't want to exclude them. You know, I mean, there's no reason why smaller athletes can't compete in powerlifting. My county was the one that pushed for the rule change. We were disappointed that it was turned down, but at least at the state level, we can still allow those athletes to participate. So.
Yeah, definitely. We just want to give them as many opportunities to compete as possible. So we will continue to allow that. That way they can compete alongside those who use the 15-kilogram bar.
The 15-kilogram bar, the 20-kilogram bar is the standard, and that's about 44, just about 45 pounds. The 15-kilogram bar is like 35 pounds, so it's not that big. It's not that much relief. You know what I mean? The ones that are using the 15-pound bar, some of them are pretty close. I mean, I know Lori Plaxton's pretty close to being able to do 35. She's usually right around 32 or 33 pounds when she benches. And I can't remember. I think it's Rachel at Howard County is another one that can't quite do that much weight as well. But other than that, most of the athletes are up to the 20-kilogram bar, so it's not too big a deal for us.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Along with the rules update, we do offer unified powerlifting. I don't believe any counties do it right now, but I think that this would be a great thing to transition to just because pushing the unified is such a big thing for us. It would be great to see a partner and an athlete competing together. So if your county has any interest in it, we can provide more information and more detailed of the rules with it. So it's a great thing, and I would love to move forward with that. Just a couple of general rules reminders. All athletes need to be at least 16 years of age to participate in the sport of powerlifting. You're allowed to have chalk on your hands, and powder is only permitted on designated areas of the body, so it's pretty specific. Along with many other sports, only the athlete and the coach are permitted on the lifting stage. That way the athlete is able to focus on the sport, just because it does have a little bit more of a liability attached to it because they are lifting heavy weights. So as much focus as we can give them as possible is wonderful. Lifters have 1 minute to initiate a lift. There's additional time up to a total of 3 minutes that's permitted for athletes with physical disabilities, but you need to make sure that you request this in GMS before the competition. That way we can plan accordingly with the schedule and things won't get behind, so it'll just run a little bit more smoothly. Lastly, if the weights are dropped intentionally, it's declared a no lift and the lifter may be disqualified. So that is just something that you want to make sure your athletes are aware of. Along with the uniforms, it requires a lifting suit, an undershirt, briefs, foot gear, a lifting belt, which is optional, but we do encourage it to be used, wrapped, and the substances that your lifters are allowed to have on them are baby powder, pool hall chalk, liquid chalk, resin, talc, magnesium carbonate. You cannot use any oil, grease, or lubricant just because it'll make everything too slippy for them. For questions, I'm the Eastern Maryland Regional Sports Director, but if you are in a different area and you have a question about anything, feel free to contact me or your Regional Sports Director and they can connect me with you. I'm almost always on my email, so feel free to bug me all the time, or I'll send out my cell phone number too. That way it makes it a little easier. But at this time, does anyone have any questions with anything with the season? If you do, you just have to click on raising your hand on the screen, or you can always type it into the question box on the side, whatever is easiest for you.
Or if they're on the phone, then they have to just unmute their phone as well. Which is usually *6 or the mute or unmute button on the phone.
I don't think the *6 works on this audio system. That was the old system that we had. But thanks for remembering.
Okay.
Hi, folks. This is Mike with Special Olympics headquarters. So,
Mike TV.
Yes, yes. But yeah, no, *6 is nice, but no longer working.
Okay.
Hey, Scott, I see we have a question from you, but before I'm able to unmute your line, you have to enter in the PIN, which I just sent to you. So it should pop up. If you could just put that in for me, that'd be awesome. Into the phone. Or you are more than able to just type the question into the box and we can read it through there, whichever is easier. Does anyone else, while Scott's working that all out, have any questions about powerlifting? I will provide you a lot more information when we get closer to the event itself and closer to the pre-competition webinar. But as of right now, just any general questions about the season? Or Jim, did you have anything that you wanted to add that I might have missed?
No, just for on clarification from my in-house qualifier, it's just a lack of space for our gym. So we just offer it as a makeup qualifier for athletes who couldn't. You mentioned it, but I can't really support a large team of another team. But if it's onesie, twosie, few athletes, we can definitely accommodate that, and we have done that in the past. So if they've missed, maybe they missed the Howard County qualifier or their own in-house qualifier, they could come to ours, and that's why we purposely do it pretty late in the season. So it's kind of like a makeup for other ones.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. We do have a question from Dan. So Dan, I just unmuted your line, so you should be all good to go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great, thank you. Will you be emailing us this seminar that we have right now, so we have these contact information and all that?
Yes, definitely. And I actually am recorded it too, so I will be sending you a link to the YouTube video as well as the slides that have all the information.
Great. And also the sanction form?
Yep. I can attach that too, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any other questions? All right, well, thank you everyone for taking time out of your busy weeks to join us tonight. I will be sending the stuff out, like I said, and I will include my contact information. So if a question comes up afterwards, just feel free to reach out to me. And if I do not know the answer, I will definitely find it out for you. So thank you all, Jim. Thank you for sitting in on this tonight and helping me with some of the powerlifting technique stuff. I appreciate it.
Sounds like we have all experienced coaches, though. Nobody asked you any questions about rules
I
or,
know.
or,
this is
or
my
commands or all that kind of stuff. So that's good.
Yeah, it does seem like we have a lot of really experienced people. So I'm excited to work with all of you and to get to know your athletes. And yeah, I'm excited. So have a great night, everyone. I will be reaching out to you all very soon.
All right. Thank you.